My name is Clara Cross. I'm a judge. I've spent over a decade listening to people lie under oath, weaving stories to shield themselves from consequences. You'd think I'd be numb to betrayal by now, but betrayal from a stranger doesn't compare to the kind that comes wrapped in silk, glitter, and a sister's smile. The night of my younger sister Lila's engagement party was meant to be a celebration, a union of two families, champagne flutes, and staged laughter. But I wasn't there to celebrate. I was there for something deeper, for a silence that had followed me for years. I was finally ready to confront the story they told about me, the version they had built to suit their comfort and to replace it with the truth. Growing up, Lila was the golden child. The spotlight adored her, and so did our parents. She was everything bright and loud, a firework in a family that celebrated noise. I, on the other hand, was the shadow, the quiet, intense, book-loving girl who corrected teachers and spent more time in libraries than anywhere else. Our parents called it balance. I called it erasure. Whenever Lila got in trouble, and it happened often, they found a way to justify it. She was creative, free-spirited, misunderstood. When she crashed her car, it was the road's fault. When she failed classes, it was because the teachers didn't appreciate her flair. Meanwhile, I kept my head down and did what needed to be done. I worked 2 jobs through undergrad, graduated top of my class, and earned a full scholarship to law school. I never asked for praise, but a little recognition, it would have been nice. By the time I was appointed as a judge at 39, the youngest ever in my circuit, my parents barely blinked. My mother sent a one-line text. "Impressive, Clara. You always were the serious one." So when I received the wedding invitation, white, perfumed, with Lila's name in embossed gold and her fiancé Eric's in smaller, faded font, I wasn't surprised there was no note, no call, no +1. And then came the text. "Hi, sis. Don't feel like you have to come. Jonathan's family is a little high profile. Try not to wear anything too serious, okay? XOXO, Lila." Not too serious? I had spent my life mastering seriousness. She had no idea who I was, but she would soon. The estate where they held the engagement party was pure opulence. Polished marble floors, glass chandeliers, and valets in tuxedos. I arrived 5 minutes early. Never more, never less. I observed the guests from my car. Air kisses, gift bags, shallow laughter. Lila had crafted a narrative, no doubt. I imagined it already. She was the socialite bride-to-be with the picture-perfect fiancé, and I was her obscure, humorless older sister who worked somewhere in government. Inside, I was greeted with a fluted glass of champagne and a blank stare. No one recognized me. I drifted to the back, watching Lila bask in compliments, tossing her head back in laughter that was a little too loud, her gown hugging every curve like it was stitched by attention itself. My parents were there. My mother wore the same necklace I had mailed her years ago as a gift, never acknowledged, never thanked. She smiled at me like I was a stranger, then turned back to her friends. My father gave a nod that barely counted. Then, the moment I'd expected, Lila spotted me. Her face twitched, a flicker of discomfort quickly covered with an artificial smile. She floated over, heels clicking like a metronome of performance. "Well, look who made it," she said, her voice coated in fake warmth. "I wasn't sure you would. These kinds of things aren't usually your scene." "I had the time," I replied, sipping from my glass. She scanned my dress, black, tailored, elegant. Bold choice for an engagement party. "Someone has to ground the palate," I said. She laughed, unsure if it was a joke. "Just try not to make things awkward. Eric's family is really into appearances. They ask a lot of questions. Maybe they'll get real answers." Her smile faltered, but she waved it off and glided away. Dinner came. I sat alone. The duck on my plate grew cold. And then Eric approached. "Clara, right? Lila's sister? That's me. She doesn't talk about you much. Said you work in law, like paperwork. Something like that." He smiled like a politician, polite, dismissive. Later, Lila clinked her fork against her glass. The room hushed. All eyes turned. "Thank you all so much for coming. I feel incredibly lucky," she beamed. Her fiancé beamed back. Phones rose to record what they thought would be another charming speech. "I wasn't always this put together," she laughed. "Growing up, I was the wild one. And Clara? Well, she was very strict, very by the book." Polite chuckles. Once, she filed a complaint because I borrowed her sweater without asking. I was 13. Laughter. She's always been that way. Judgy, rigid. But I'm glad she made time for us tonight. She's not big on smiling. She looked right at me, winked. Eric chuckled. We're just glad she came. Lila said you work in county records, admin or something? Important paperwork. It wasn't even cruel, just condescending. Casual erasure. I wiped the edge of my glass. Then I smiled. Number, that's not correct. They waited, expecting a joke. I'm a judge. Superior Court, 6th District. The silence hit hard. A woman near the bar gasped. Judge Cross? From the Harmon case? Murmurs. Google searches under the table. Recognition. Lila blinked. Eric went pale. I stood slowly, placing my napkin on my plate. I looked at Eric. When people don't ask questions, they shouldn't be surprised by the answers. I walked past them, past my parents, past the whispers. What would you have done? Would you have kept quiet for the sake of peace? Or would you have spoken your truth? If you've ever been the overlooked one, the underestimated one, share your voice in the comments. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, make sure to subscribe. Because this isn't just revenge, it's justice. Outside, the air was cool, cleansing. I didn't stay for dessert. I didn't return my mother's missed call. I didn't answer Lila's texts. You should have told me. Why would you embarrass me like that? The truth isn't meant to comfort the comfortable. It just exists, whether you're ready for it or not. They hadn't failed to see me because I was invisible. They failed because they never looked. They clung to the version of me they invented. Manageable, dismissible, background. And now? Now they knew better. Inside that venue, Lila would be scrambling to explain, Eric questioning everything, and my parents? Perhaps reflecting. Perhaps not. But silence, finally, would have meaning. I had spent my whole life being edited out of the family portrait. That night, I stepped back into the frame on my terms. I didn't need applause. I had my bench. I had my truth. And more than anything, I had peace. Because some truths aren't loud. They don't need to be. Some truths simply stand and are never forgotten.